Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys? And welcome to episode 248 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. We are back for 2022, our first episode of the year. And we are kicking off going for 2 months on February 2nd, 2022. So that's 2-2-2-2. Perfect time to kick the show off here. Of course, we are part of the Going for Two Live podcast network. We are live every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch on all major podcast networks and streaming the Go for Two app for iOS and Android. If you're on Twitter right now, the comments are not working on Twitter, so please go find us on YouTube. Just search for Going for Two Live. You will find us there. Let's introduce the guest for tonight and my co-host, of course, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. Ryan, as usual, you can follow him at Foss534. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, we're back. Finally.
We are back.
I feel like it's been, 2 months? Like
feels
November
like
was our last show?
Yeah, it's just about 2 months because I think our last show was in December before Christmas. So, yeah, it's about 2 months.
I had so much free time. The show. And I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm glad I'm back.
Definitely.
And it's rookie season. Well, after tonight.
Yeah, after tonight's rookie season, for sure. All right, so what we're doing tonight, we are going to be doing a Dynasty startup mock draft with a little bit of a twist. We're going to be starting in the 11th round so we can get some of those deep dive players. We have 5 other people joining us tonight. Let's go ahead and meet them really quick. First up, we have Mr. James Ferretti, injury analyst for GoingFor2.com. He's also the author of Injuries Suck, but your fantasy team doesn't have to. You can follow him on Twitter at TFSDoc. Let's get him on here. What's up, James?
Hey, guys. How are you? Good to be here. Groundhog Day, right? What better day to repeat than a day doing a big fantasy football draft?
There you go.
That's a weird place to go visit, by the way.
What's that?
Like Punxsutawney, where Phil lives.
I'm sure it is.
They have as soon as you come to town, they have like a 25-foot statue of them. It's real creepy.
That is creepy.
I'm sure there's stranger stuff out there, but that's definitely up there.
Yes.
All right. Also joining us tonight, Jay Christensen, writer for Going for Two. He's also the host of the Brothers of Dynasty podcast and also the fancy cheat sheet right here on Going for Two Live. You can follow him at JC_DFF. What's up, Jay?
What's going on, Jeff? Thanks for having me on here. Doing my favorite rounds of a mock draft, really, rounds 20, get farther back as we can go. It's great. Really
agreed.
It's great for the bottom of the barrel,
Money rounds.
Anybody listening to the podcast this time of year probably already know who the top 100 players are anyway. So let's just dig deep down here and get some of these guys that not everybody knows about. All right. Also joining us tonight, he is co-founder of the Fantasy Football Collective. He's also host of the Fantasy Nightcap podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at FFShaneV. What's up, Shane?
What's up? I am. Thank you. It's good to be here. Ryan, you sounded like an excited little kid when you were brought on, and it energized me, actually.
I hope so, man. I was hoping for cute and energizing.
It worked. And then the other thought that I had, Jeff, was holy shit, you guys have done 248 episodes.
What's funny is it's actually more than that because we changed the name of the podcast. It used to be called the Press Coverage Podcast, and we had about.
I didn't exist then. It doesn't count.
You didn't exist then. Yeah, back then it was just me and a guest every week, and then Ryan eventually just muscled his way in there and said, "All right, I'm your co-host from now on." So
That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, it pretty much is. He basically was my go-to guest whenever I couldn't get a guest, and eventually I was like, "Oh, you know what, Ryan? Let's just do this full time." So he just jumped on and became my co-host.
My podcast got shut down. I'm like, "Can I come co-host?" You're like, "Okay."
Yep.
It was easy.
All right. Also joining us tonight, Mr. Kyle Senra, co-host of the Going for Two Lives Dynasty Gambit and press coverage. He also hosts Full Press Packers and Full Press Fantasy Podcast. He is just a podcast whore. You could follow him on Twitter at Senra Says. What's up, Kyle?
Ouch. What a great welcome to you two on 2 day. How many twos are there in February 2nd, 2022? Not as many as 22, which is when this promotion of yours runs out. But I guess I'm spoiling that. I'm sorry. You're the host, not me, but because I apparently host so many shows here. But glad to be on the armchair.
Yeah, there are 4 twos, so we can go 4-2. See how that works there? It's like all symmetry.
There's 5 twos.
Is there 5?
Yeah, he's saying 22, 02, 02 instead of 20, 22.
Yeah, I'm not counting the 2022. Just 2.
Stop the beginning of time, man.
All right, last but not least, we have Eric Romoff, founder of Pros with Joe's charity event, co-host of The Pawn Shop right here on Going for Two Live, and contributor for Dr. Roto. You can follow him at Fantasy Nav. What's up?
What's going on, guys? That's a tough intro to follow.
Being called a podcast whore.
Yeah, exactly. I'm over here evaluating my life decisions backstage.
It goes beyond just hosting multiple shows. He's also like on every show as in the chat. Like whenever we're on the Armchair Fantasy show, Kyle's in the chat. Whenever I'm watching the any of the other shows that are on there, Kyle's in the chat. He's always checking all the shows out. So it's pretty awesome.
Wednesday. I was supposed to watch this Wednesday. I forgot. Oh wait, I'm on right now. Never mind. That's
Kyle's already commenting on it.
Yeah. All right. So what we're doing tonight, I kind of mentioned at the top a little bit. We're going to be doing a 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium dynasty startup draft. We are going to be starting in round 11. We let Sleeper draft our first 10 rounds. So we'll start picking up at round number 11. A few things have changed since we ran the auto draft. Tom Brady, of course, is now retired. So he did get drafted, unfortunately, but we're not going to go back and fix that. But let's go ahead and bring up the draft board here.
Can we assume whoever drafted Tom Brady had a competent quarterback so it doesn't really screw the draft strategy?
Yeah, Derek Carr is competent. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. We'll just assume that Tom Brady.
That's Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask. There you go. Competent quarterback. Very competent.
I could draft Kyle Trask, to be fair, and then we're fine.
You could. I don't know if I would, but you could.
Yeah. I don't know if I would either. I'm not sure that the Bucs wanted to draft Kyle Trask. Actually, sorry. I'm trying to pause here while I get this thing set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the resume button here so we can get started. All right. Oh, Ryan, you are on the clock here at the 11-1.
I got an hour to make my pick on the clock. Awesome. Let me think.
Longest show in history.
Well, for just one pick, yeah.
Going for 2 days.
So it's funny. We joked before the show. Gabriel Davis is still on the board, which is everybody in the world's favorite person because of one playoff game where he went absolutely bonkers and had 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. But if we look at Gabriel Davis in reality, he had double-digit targets one other time this season, and he had 39 yards off it. He topped 100 yards once, and he only topped 50 yards twice. I think we're jumping the gun and caught up in the moment. So I want to swing another way. I'm going with Christian Kirk. He is a free agent this year. He could be a pretty solid wide receiver 2 on a team. And we saw a nice little streak at him on the end of the year when he was getting targets where he was putting up decent numbers, producing. He's electric with the ball in his hands. He's a run after catch guy. They're going to find ways to get him the ball in space. He was just in an offense with a ton of weapons that wants to spread the ball everywhere. If he gets somewhere where they have to give him volume, we could see a nice jump and a huge value at this range. So I'm going to take Christian Kirk based off the upside and the unknown of reality because the situation could change and get better for him.
All right, good stuff. We can tell that I'm out of practice here. I was supposed to open up the mock draft here with a live read, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that now before we get to your pick, Kyle. Do you want to feel part of the game? Do you want to sweat it out with your favorite team? BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, offers the best experience and the best odds. Visit goingfor2.com/BetMGM. Sign up, bet at least $10 on the Super Bowl, and if either team scores a touchdown, you get $200. It's that easy. Visit goingfor2.com/BetMGM. Bet 10, win 200. Must be 21 and in a bet legal state to participate. All right, Kyle, we are up at your pick here at the the 11:03. What you got?
Well, I was going to go Devin Singletary, but the auto draft got him there. Darn, you won 102. And you mentioned my, how why I'm addicted to podcasts, because I'm addicted to fantasy. I had 31 leagues last year, and Devin Singletary in 9 of them. Yeah, about a third of those are best ball, to be fair. But he was my most rostered player last year, so I was hoping to start with that. Actually, Ryan did all the work already, because I'm going to take Gabe Davis here, and everything Ryan said earlier, just the chance that he could be the wide receiver too. What we've seen now that he's gotten the opportunity, does that convince the Bills? Even though I've already taken, going with the homage strategy here, Doc, and half my picks are 6 wide receivers through 11 rounds. But with mock drafts, I always say it's less about the team build and more about the value of players. That's what you're really trying to show with the mock. So I'll take Gabe Davis here.
I wanted to say one thing I forgot to say about that. They had 5 people 50+ targets last year.
Yeah.
That scares me a little bit. Like, they spread it
around.
But no. And I agree with the mock draft thing about team build. I also believe, say, drafting in Dynasty at this point, roster construction doesn't matter. Just talent.
Yeah, agreed. All right, at the 11:04, the computer takes Rashad Penny. So the doc, we are up to you, James. What you got at 11:05?
All right, so I'm going to give a quick rundown, and Kyle looks like Sleeper also went with the Hamid strategy for my team, because I have tons of wide receivers, so that's important. 2 very competent quarterbacks, to say the least, with Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, and I have a ton of wide receivers: Jalen Waddle, DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Cooks, and prior to Gabe Davis, I think this guy was America's sweetheart in the fantasy community, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god.
Nice.
But I only have 2 running backs. I have Derrick Henry, fresh off of his broken foot and his early playoff exit. And I have Darrell Henderson, fresh off of his injured knee and possibly losing his job because of the resurgence of Cam Akers. So I'm a little light at running back. And even though this is a tight end premium, I want to address that. And the way I'm going to do that is I actually kind of got sniped a little bit by by Sleeper taking Rashad Penny. So I'm going to go with his backfield mate, Chris Carson.
Nice.
And the way that I look at this is I am probably not going to be able to find an RB1 in this range without an injury, but kind of like a baseball Moneyball strategy, I'm going to kind of try to recreate some RB production in the aggregate. And then the way I think I can do that is Chris Carson, whenever he plays, is going to be a productive running back. Rashad Penny, we know has issues with injury himself.
Yep.
So if there are games where Rashad Penny misses and Chris Carson is active, for me, he's probably going to be a plug and play RB1. That may only be 2, 3, 4 games a season, maybe more. So I'm taking a gamble there, but at least I'm starting to build in the back of the draft some running back depth. So I may not have quality, but I'm going to try to make up for that in quantity.
Geez, Doc, that's like a chapter out of a book or something.
Well, interestingly enough, there's an article that I'm going to have coming out in the offseason, how to get RB1 production from your RB3s and kind of the strategy behind that. So kind of a little precursor to what that might look like. Nice. Spoiler alert, both Rashad Penny and Chris Carson are going to be in that article this year. So look for that on the Going for Two site later on this year.
Good deal. All right, 11:06, Sleeper takes Laviscus Chenault, and drafting from my account because we had somebody that could not make it. But Shane, you are up here at the 11:07.
Yes, I am, and I like the Doc strategy of kind of recapping the team. So I've got Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts. Then I kind of went anchor running back thanks to the computer with Austin Eckler, Sanders, Kareem Hunt, and Chase Edmonds. And then my wide receivers are Deontay Johnson, Keenan Allen, and Devontae Smith. Tight end is Dawson Knox. So I feel like I'm set at tight end. Kind of gambling with Knox being this was his breakout year. But there's a value wide receiver that's just screaming at me right now, and I believe he's a free agent this year, but I don't know for sure. And that's Tyler Boyd. Even with him being the third option in Cincinnati, Burrow and that offense are going to be way too good for way too long. And I want any part of it that I can get. So if Boyd stays, great. If Boyd goes somewhere else, I think he can be a pretty decent wide receiver too, pretty easily.
Yeah, I like Boyd. It's a great value there in the 11th round for sure. Because I mean, he was kind of their only guy there for a little while, but he definitely has shown that he could be good. I mean, he's good in spurts even this year too. So yeah, I like that. All right, Melvin Gordon goes at the 11:08, and Jay, we are up to you with your first pick in the 11th round, 11:09.
Yeah, to recap my team a little bit, I'm pretty strong at wide receiver. I got Jamar Chase at the beginning, Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, Michael Gallup, so I like that. They gave me Travis Kelce at tight end. That's my only tight end so far. He's obviously getting a little bit older. Pretty good at running back too here. Javonte Williams, love that. Travis Etienne, a little bit of wild card since he missed the year last year, but I like the kind of some young running backs there. Got Damian Harris too, and then quarterback's a bit of a disaster. Zach Wilson, obviously a rookie, tough first year, but I don't mind that. Maybe some potential in the future. But then Carson Wentz, who's not my favorite guy in the world, so I don't love that. I don't know if I want to address yet, but I'm going to be looking at that position to maybe take some wild cards and some upside there. But I think I'm going to address tight end. There's a couple of young tight ends that I do like as potential right here. Cole Comet and Irv Smith are the two favorites, and I'm going to go Cole Comet here. He's actually one of the highest ADP guys on the board here. I'm going to go ahead and grab him. I like his progression his second year really upped. His receptions, just didn't score touchdowns. He actually didn't have any touchdowns last year. That offense was rough. So I think you give him 5 touchdowns, he would jump up into, relevant tight end range, just because tight end is a kind of a wasteland. So with Travis Kelce getting old there, I'm going to fill a second tight end spot, tight end premium league too, with Cole Komet.
I like it. It's kind of a post-hype sleeper right there, because I mean, he was like the Twitter darling, Cole Komet coming into the season. So kind of a post-hype sleeper there, going to the 11th round in a tight end premium league is a pretty good value for sure. The 11-10 goes Van Jefferson, and Eric, we're up to you at the 11-11.
Man, the auto draft sniped me on Van Jefferson. I was hoping to go back to back and get a little bit younger in my wide receiver core. Looking at this team that Sleeper assembled for me, I don't think looks like any team that I'm actually going to build for myself. They immediately bought into the Joe Burrow hype and opened up my draft by adding him, and from there went in and followed up with Devontae Adams. His destination somewhat unknown. Looking forward in the 2022 season. Bit on the tight end premium with Mark Andrews. I'm happy with Russell Wilson as my second quarterback overall. I think we probably drafted him a bit too early, me and the sleeper team. It seems like he's been slipping a little bit more. And really the biggest kind of gap on my roster overall is at the running back position. I was able to secure Josh Jacobs in the 5th round. He's one of those players that I think is clinically overlooked, right? He just continues to get all of the volume. We saw him continue to or start to expand out into the receiving game this year. So, at the end of the 5th, I think that's awesome value. But my only other running back to pair him with is Ramondre Stevenson, who I do like as a prospect, but his path to playing time, his contribution in the immediate term is somewhat questionable. So for me, I think that leaves me looking to answer the running back position the most. I've got some of the kind of savvy veterans and younger guys paired up within my wide receiver core across Adams, Michael Thomas, Bateman, Pittman on the younger side. I just nabbed Odell in the last round of the auto draft. So the running back position, I should say, is really where I'm looking to add. And for me, there's really 2 guys that kind of jump off the page here. I think of the 2, I'm probably going to err on the side of Chuba Hubbard. He was obviously an early draft pick of this Panthers front office here heading into the season. Obviously, anyone playing behind Christian McCaffrey is going to have a bit of runway in front of them before they see some work. But at least for me personally, I'm not entirely sold that we see Christian McCaffrey back to 100% next year or potentially ever again. And I think we even maybe see him start to kind of loosen his grip on that volume in Carolina. So like getting into another young running back who is potentially an injury away or might see his role expanding as soon as this year.
Good stuff. Finishing off the 11th round, the sleeper team takes Kenny Golladay. Let's recap that round really quick here. Ryan took Christian Kirk, Devin Singletary, Gabe Davis, Rashad Penny, then Chris Carson, back-to-back Seattle Seahawks running backs. Laviska Shenault and Tyler Boyd went next. Then Melvin Gordon, Cole Komet, Van Jefferson, Chuba Hubbard, and Kenny Golladay. Kicking off the 12th round, the sleeper team took Myles Gaskins, and then we are back to you again, Eric, at the 12:02.
Man, so Myles Gaskin is the other back that I was bouncing between. So it looks like the algorithm is dialed into where I'm thinking. I guess looking for someone to maybe contribute in the more immediate term. The name that jumps off of the list here for me is Russell Gage. We saw him really come on in the back half of the year. It seems like, at least the sentiment is that this Atlanta team is likely to be without Calvin Ridley. Gage himself, I believe, is heading into free agency, so he could very much so find himself in a position where he is ostensibly a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 kind of fringe play on a team, and ultimately looking to get a little bit younger in my wide receiver core. I've got a couple of young guys on board, but most of my productive players are a bit long in the tooth. So like adding on Russell Gage at the ripe old age of 26.
Yeah, he definitely came on a little bit towards the end of the season last year as well. He kind of disappointed us early on and then kind of showed out a couple games towards the end there. So I like that pick there in the 12th. I think it's funny, too, because pretty much everybody complained about how Sleeper drafted for them. And then everybody complained about the thing sniping them. So I don't know, is Sleeper good or is it not good? Because y'all can't have it both ways. It's sniping you all on every turn.
I love my team.
I think you're the only one. You're the only one. All right. Right after Russell Gage goes Jacoby Myers. And Jay, we are back to you at the 12:04.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways I can go with this pick here. Kind of looking at the board, some guys I'm looking at. I could take a stab at a quarterback. You got Daniel Jones sitting at the top of the board. Can things turn around there with Dable going to the Giants there? I don't know if I want to do that yet.
Do it.
That just feels. I already have Wentz. I don't know if I can double up on that on this team. I'm looking at keeping it. My team's pretty young. I'm looking at some young guys like Kenny Gainwell, Nico Collins. Guys like that are, some upside. I feel good about some of the starters I have, so I feel like I could take a swing at some youth here, look for some upside. So I'm actually going to grab Nico Collins here, actually, with my pick.
Interesting.
I like it. I
that.
like it. So Nico Collins goes at 12. Yep. I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, just saying, going for some youth, some upside, and, add that to my team here in the 12.
I like it. Zach Ertz goes right after that at the 12:05, and we're back to you at the 12:06.
Well, the douche canoe that is Sleeper made my pick a lot easier because I was between Ertz and a quarterback. So I am actually going to take a shot at a quarterback, but I'm not going with the top one on the board. I'm going with Davis Mills.
Going with the correct one.
Yeah, so I love Mills. He surpassed expectations. I had a feeling he could be good this year if given the shot. But I feel like he surpassed expectations, especially with a lack of talent outside of Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins. And so I really hope he continues to get a shot. We have no idea what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. So I feel like taking a flyer on Mills in the 12th round is totally worth it, especially because he's my third QB.
Yeah. I think shout out to Eric for celebrating that as the world's only Texans fan.
Literally the only one. Also, we were doing a mock draft for Jay, I think it was, a few weeks ago, and I texted Shane and I was like, hey, do you think if I pass up on him, Davis Mills will fall to me in a later round? And I was like, that might be the first time anyone's ever asked that question in the history of humankind.
Yes. I think he played well enough to get a chance. I mean, that Texans team is pretty bad top to bottom, but I think that Davis Mills played well enough with that.
He outplayed the other rookies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Minus Mac, yeah.
Yeah, I think he had the most games over 20 fantasy points of any of the rookie, or tied. Like he had like 3 games, 20 plus. So
he beat Mac head to head in real NFL. I know that we don't care about that. We only care about fantasy. So
yeah, good call.
Get out of here.
Oh, wait, no, did the Patriots win that game?
Patriots came back and won that one, but he might have.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he might have had more fantasy points than Mac.
Going afterwards, horrible like that, man. Mistake.
All right, Kenny Gainwell went at the 12:07. And Doc, we're back to you at the 12:08.
All right. So looking at the board and seeing how that round went, when I did the rundown of my team, the one thing that was missing is a tight end. And it's something that as I'm looking and trying to play the turn, I see there's one team that has one tight end. There's another team that has no tight ends.
Oh, that's
and if this guy would have went, I probably would have sent it down for another round. But Jeff, I know you're going to like this one because I'm going to take your boy that I know you loved him going into the draft this year. And I'm hoping that his production coming off of injury, he can live up to that top 12 potential that he might have had this year, next year. And he's a young player, so that's even better because my team is mostly old like I am. So I'm going to take Irv
Jeff.
Nice.
Irv Smith
definitely drafts young players.
Yeah, I was all in on Irv Smith this year. I've been all in on Irv Smith since day one. So
he's your guy. No question about it, but I'm taking him.
Yeah, you never liked Irv Smith. Don't lie.
I love
like there's recorded proof on this podcast.
Yeah, a little bit.
Or does he?
Well, I mean, Shane, I will take the top quarterback off the board, but I didn't want to. I was going to go Davis Mills as well if he fell. Just thinking, I don't know, maybe there's less. Daniel Jones is the first round pick, but maybe how many other teams would have made him a first round pick if by Davis Mills still has the rookie contract a couple more years. It might be, as a dynasty wise, more of a valuable asset because who knows if Daniel Jones is even starting this year. But
hey, Ryan,
that's probably the case. But who knows if
he's turned on
after.
What? Yeah, now
it'll be on second.
Perfect transition because that's all I have to say about Jones. I mean, I think the fantasy upside's there with the rushing enough, and I need a second quarterback. So, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, Ryan's AC turns on one podcast. It's like we're in a tunnel.
It's the heater this time of year, and I'll get in trouble if I turn it off. So sorry, guys. So I forgot to do a rundown of my team when I was up because rest and stuff.
You were first.
I was first. I have QBs, Patrick Mahomes and Ryan Tannehill. Running backs, I'm a little bit light with Zeke Elliott and A.J. Dillon. I'm not real comfortable there. I'm loaded at wide receiver, which I doubled up on. I have Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Allen Robertson, DJ Shark, and now Christian Kirk. So I got to kind of fill some needs here, even though I don't want to, but I found some values I really like. I'm taking CJ Uzomah. He's really seen a spike in his production lately and becoming a bigger and bigger part of that Bengals offense. And how I was mentioned before, Tyler Boyd could be on his way out. And that's probably one of the main people going to take up his targets because they're playing over the middle of the field as that dump off for Joey Burrow. So I'm grabbing him there to fill out my tight end position. I feel okay starting him next year compared to what's out on the board. And then I'm going to take Gus Edwards as running back. Baltimore's going to run their 2 backs. He's been locked in for 700 yards the last 3 seasons as starter in that rotation. And if it doesn't get to the point where he's the only running back in the backfield, it puts him in a top 12 position. So he has a lot of upside, kind of how Doc was talking earlier. Like you're looking for running backs who, if they get the opportunity, can produce for you. And he gives me standalone value, but has huge upside if he's the lone starter.
I like it. All right, that takes us to round 13 here. Let me recap 12. Miles Gaskins, Russell Gage, Kobe Myers, Nico Collins, then Zach Ertz, Davis Mills goes to Shane, Kenneth Gainwell, Irv Smith Jr., Ronald Jones, Daniel Jones, and then Tyler Higbee and CJ Uzama goes in the 12-12 spot. Ryan takes Gus Edwards at the 1301, and then Corey Davis at the 1302. And Kyle, we are back to you with the 1303. So where are you going here?
See, Ryan, I legit forgot to recap the team because, okay, yeah, when it comes back to me, I should do that. But I was like, oh no, Daniel Jones, I got to get that quarterback. I'm just blinded by that.
Dude,
but
nobody's ever been that excited about Daniel Jones.
Again,
Not even Daniel
I guess that's
Jones'
where I'll start
mom.
with the recap is that I'm the team that fell on the Tom Brady bombshell, or landmine, I guess. Well, he can be a bombshell too. I guess he's very pretty. But I ended up so Derek Carr at the 9th round and down Daniel Jones in the 12th round as my second quarterback. Mentioned a lot of wide receivers, and I think this is one where I don't necessarily maybe wouldn't have drafted this way, but I don't mind the value on Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill. And then Kyle Pitts. I'm not the biggest Kyle Pitts fans, but that actually isn't so bad. David Montgomery as actually my only running back to date. Actually, which knowing me, that's not how I would draft. Terry McLaurin, Marquise Brown, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, and a stacked Brady and Gronk. They probably both retire. So, but again, mock draft going for pure value and looking through the list. There's really one player kind of standing out to me right now. So I'll go with another wide receiver. I'm a man of the people. In this case, a man of the Donovan Peoples-Jones.
That's nice. Kyle and his puns. He's definitely known for his puns. All right.
You punny bastard.
Thank you.
Peoples-Jones goes there. Then right after that goes Sony Michel at the 1304. Doc, we are back to you at the 1305.
Okay. So I'm firmly in the camp that Sleeper does not suck because I liked my team and Sleeper has sniped me twice so far, and we've only been podcasting for like 20 minutes. So it was going to be Rashad Penny. I had to pivot off of that. It was going to be Sony Michel here. So I'm going to pivot off of that. And I don't know, Jeff, just call me the president of your fan club because I'm going to back up my quarterback room with a guy who's leaving the Bay Area. I don't know where he's going, but I still have faith in Jimmy G. So I'm gonna grab him now, and I'll look to add some running back depth a little bit later on. But now that I got my tight end, you like to have that third quarterback for a super flex, and I think wherever he goes, he's going to be a starter, and I'm willing to gamble on that in the 13th round.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Jimmy G, welcome aboard.
I've heard rumors that he's rumored to be going to maybe Tampa Bay to replace Tom Brady, which with those weapons, even
wouldn't that be fitting?
Yeah, exactly. Replace Tom Brady all these years later when it should have been, back in whatever year it was that he was at the Patriots. All right, so Garoppolo goes 1305. Trey Sermon goes at 1306. Shane, we're back to you with the 1307.
And I'm very torn here, especially because old Kyle took Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'm gonna go with a little bit of youth here, and someone we've seen produce when the person above him has been out with injury on the depth chart, and that's gonna be KJ Osborne. So that's pretty much all I got. I think I've liked what I've seen from him. Thielen is 31 or will be 32, I believe, this year. He's good. Thielen's good. Like, there's no denying that, but he's, because of his advancement in age, he's starting to miss more games due to injury. So I'm going to take Osborne, who we've seen fill in as a decent wide receiver 2 there, but also has pretty good wide receiver 3 upside for the whole season.
I like it. That's a great value there in the 13th round. Khalil Herbert goes 1308. Jay, we're up to you at the 1309.
Yeah, I'm going to go quarterback here to try to give myself some more options in my quarterback room. Like I said, only got Zach Wilson and Carson Wentz. And I'm going to go with the free agent market is thin this offseason. I think this guy's probably the tops of that board or around it. There's going to be a lot of people moving around. I'm going to go with Jameis Winston here and hope he lands in a good spot. Gets a job and maybe has a little bit more upside than maybe the other guys around this area, really like Jared Goff and Matt Ryan. And not a lot else. So you got to take shots at like Jordan Love. He gets the job. He obviously didn't show out this year. So I'm going to take a chance that Jameis Winston, for fantasy purposes, can throw touchdowns. I don't really care how many. Hopefully this is a 1-point interception.
30 and 30.
League, so whatever. I don't care if he throws them as long as we're not losing 4 points for the interceptions, though. Totally fine with Jameis here.
Good stuff. Go ahead and hit Jameis on your screen there so I can get.
Oh, yes. I actually have to pick him on.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It feels gross. It's
Idiot.
Jameis Winston at 1309. Julio Jones goes 1310, which is crazy to see him that low.
Where was he even on the list? I didn't even see him.
He must have been way down there because it's pretty low. I mean, that's Julio Jones.
Okay,
I mean,
Based on the auto draft, he would have been at the top of the list, though.
Jeff, can I ask a question?
Yep.
Because I was contemplating Jones at the 13-7. Do you guys think that Julio has hit the cliff? Is he done producing as a wide receiver 1 or top tier wide receiver 2?
Yes.
I do.
I think he's wide receiver 3 or worse.
Yeah.
I actually
he's always struggled with separation, and if he's not
And
the
he-
same athlete he was, maybe he was just so injured this year.
You can't stay on the field, too, at all. So.
And he is a
Yeah.
bad quarterback.
Yeah, I was off him this year. Actually, I
worse.
was telling everybody to sell Julio. Don't get Julio. Like I pointed to a few receivers that are kind of built like him over the years that after 32 or whatever he is, 33, they fell off. Guys like Andre Johnson was on that list. Even Randy Moss is on that list. Guys that were just athletic freaks that were super fast and big. Just once they start breaking down, they break down pretty quickly. And I think that's what happened to Julio.
No, totally. I agree with you guys. I was just curious on what y'all's thoughts as well.
All right, Eric, we're up to you at the 13-11.
So I'm going to follow Shane's lead here and look for a bit more youth and a guy that performed admirably when he had the opportunity in front of him this season. Actually, I thought this was where Shane was going when he gave that descriptor, but I am happy to scoop up none other than Josh Palmer as we round out the rounder here in the draft. You know, looking at the kind of makeup of the Chargers wide receiver core, Mike Williams is heading into free agency. Keenan Allen certainly plays a style of game that should last longer, kind of the antithesis of Julio Jones, but he himself is heading into his age 30 season. So, you know, for me, I like to get as much exposure to the Herbert passing attack as possible. And we saw in those couple of games where Palmer was starting, he looked really sharp, right? He ran a ton of routes. He was a volume king. Showed some super dependable hands. Was able to get out of his breaks really cleanly. So a lot to like with Josh Palmer, and he is a baby. He's like 22 years old.
I think he's
Might
22,
have just
yeah.
recently turned 22. So like getting that youth on the team.
Yeah, that's a good pick there in the 13th round.
I considered him, Eric, but I already had the super stack of Herbert, Eckler, and Keenan. So I was like, I probably need to just, back off that offense just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I mean, if you're
great
going to
pick,
ride
Eric.
one offense in Dynasty,
Yeah.
That's a
bad
great
one to be
pick.
on,
He was
right?
actually at the top of my board 2 rounds ago, but sleeper picked 7 wide receivers, so I couldn't reasonably take him. But I mean, that's a steal.
Yeah, definitely. All right, rounding out the 13th round is Mr. Darrell Williams of Kansas City. Before we get to the 14th, I got a live read here. We have a celebrity that's here with us. This is his live read. Are you tired of vague, misleading injury reports costing you games? Well, Going for Two's own injury analysis, Dr. James Ferretti wants to help. With his book, Injuries Suck, but Your Fantasy Team Doesn't Have to, the doc will show you a clear approach to player injuries, media reports, and coach speak, as well as how to anticipate and act quickly when injuries strike. Available for purchase on Amazon, or use his link in his Twitter profile at TFSDoc. Stop guessing, start winning. And Doc, I'm going to just throw it to you really quick just to give a quick plug on the show. There's the book right there. Kyle's got it up. Doc, anything you want to say about the book?
Actually, that was great. I just want to let you guys know that I wasn't always a doctor. So I was in the position that many fantasy players find themselves in, where just getting the rug pulled out from under them with, misleading injury reports. And I really empathize with that. So the whole purpose of the book is for me to teach you kind of the process, pull back the curtain a little bit, and try to make you, for just a few dollars and in a few hours, I want to turn you into the best injury analyst So please check out the book, pick up a copy. You won't regret it. I guarantee it. There's a link for the book, e-version and paperback, on my Twitter page at TFSDoc. It's got a 4.9 out of 5 aggregate review on Amazon. Really proud of that. Nice. So, thanks again.
Good stuff. All right, kicking off the 14th round, Sleeper takes Jarvis Landry. And then, Eric, we are back to you at the 14-2.
Yeah, so being a super league, I think it's really important to shore up 3 quarterbacks. And we are about to get into an absolute wasteland at the position. So this name was mentioned earlier, but, for me, he's kind of the last on the list of viable options, and that's Jordan Love. He certainly didn't look great in his limited time on the field this season, but also he's got a first round pedigree. He was drafted as kind of a developmental project, and kind of pairing him up with Joe Burrow, who's obviously very young, and Russell Wilson, who still has plenty of years in front of him. I've got some time to let that project play out, right? And if it hits, I could be sitting with Joe Burrow and a very young and capable Jordan Love to go alongside him. So love getting them here in the 14th round.
Yeah, I love your picks, Eric. Sorry, Jeff, to interrupt, but man, I'm just so excited. 2 Canadians and a Packer in four picks. Like, Eric, man, you're awesome.
He's better at being a Canadian Packers fan than you are, Kyle.
I also love that you just cut right in front of Jeff. You're like, Jeff, shut up for a second. Yeah. Let me swoon over Eric's team.
Cal, to Cal's defense, he hosts far more shows on Going for Two than Jeff.
This is fair.
5.
Kyle has that. It's probably been on more shows total than I have, because he does.
I don't know. You've been doing this for so long. I guess I'm just calling you old, but like the history of Going for Two is so rich. You've done, all the DFS shows. Old. I think you still got me in total episodes.
Yeah, almost, just barely. All right, right after that goes Terrence Marshall at 14:03, and Jay, we are back to you at 14:04.
Yeah, I was looking at Marshall there. Sleeper got it because, obviously he was touted coming out, completely disappeared, healthy scratch this year. But I'm going to take a swing at him there because I think he's a good value to maybe turn it around, although it was concerning how his first year went. I'm going to take, looking at running back now, just to start to, in these later rounds, get some guys who are on the young enough side that could get jobs and have some value either for your team in your first year or as a trade piece as the first year goes on in a dynasty league. And the guy who played really well this year, some of these guys got to end up with a job or maybe a bigger role next year. Guys like Sony Michel or a guy like Dearness Johnson, who seems to be getting some hype that maybe his good play could lead to maybe a bigger role on a team next year. Played well for Cleveland when Hunt and Chubb, both had injuries this year. So a guy I'd look out for, and maybe ends up in a spot and is able to contribute next year. I think Dante Foreman falls into that camp too, of another guy where these guys played well. Can they get a job next year? So you can take some swings at those types of guys at the later stages of a dynasty draft like this.
Yeah, that's a great pick there. And, he had that one monster game on primetime that everybody saw. And if he can, even do half of that wherever, either he stays here or goes somewhere else, in the 14th round, you're sitting pretty good right there with that pick. All right, 14:05.
I added Dearness Johnson to my queue almost simultaneously as you said his name. So it was kind of terrifying. It makes me feel like you have my queue. And the thing for me, maybe Shane can shed some light on this, but I think Hunt's contract for next year isn't guaranteed. So if they're trying to get creative with their cap, there's a path to playing time for him.
That's a good call. Will Fuller goes 14:05, and Shane, we are back up to you at the 14:06.
Okay, so first, Eric, I cannot confirm nor deny on Kareem Hunt's contract. I just don't know off the top of my head, but I will go find that out.
I can confirm. I just looked it up on Spotrac. You are correct, Eric. 6.25 million, 0 dead cap, so they can cut it and save it all.
Got it. Cool. So yeah, there's just a definite path to playing time, and Dearness has shown that he is capable of filling in. So my second thought is, fuck the sleeper bot, man. I was considering Will Fuller, but I was like, I'm going to wait one more round and see if he falls to me, because then it'll just be a perfect value. And then he goes one pick before me. So I'm just like, okay, cool. I am going to go wide receiver again, though. I'm going to stick with the young gun.
Shane, your phone's too close to your mic.
Damn it, sorry.
Yeah, we had this before the show. Y'all didn't know. Y'all weren't here for that. But his phone gets too close to the mic and it does that noise.
It'll give static or feedback. I don't understand it. I've never understood
the Russians are bugging this podcast.
Yes, pretty much. Are we good now, Jeff?
We're good now. Yep.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to stick with a young wide receiver and someone who we've seen a little more production out of this year. I still think the potential is higher. And I'm going to go Bryan Edwards.
Oh, yeah, he's one of those. He's one of those post hype guys too, because everyone was kind of hyping up last year as being the number 2 there and having a breakout year. It didn't happen, but you never know. It could be this year. So great value there in the 14th round. Sleeper takes at 1407 takes Nyheim Hines, and Doc, we are back to you with the 1408.
All right. Well, first, I want to call out Shane for having a good eye, and I want to let you off the hook. Will Fuller was not getting past me, so he would have never made it back to you in the next round. I was pretty teed off when I saw him go there. Just for the record, I don't know what happened to him this year. It's just kind of a lost year, and you see how far he's fallen down into the 14th round. But same rule applies. He's like, recreating a wide receiver 1 in the aggregate. He's going to get hurt. He's going to miss games. We know this. His last full season, 17.1 PPR points per game. When he plays, he is a plug-and-play wide receiver.
Absolutely.
You get him on your team in the double-digit rounds, and when he's active, you play him. When he's not, you figure it out. But no use crying over spilled milk. At least Sleeper didn't snipe me this round. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the running back position and just keep trying to hammer away there and chip away at or dig myself out of the running back hole that Sleeper put me in, which I'm okay with. And right before this guy.
Oh, did we lose him?
And right before Doc said it, he froze. That was almost perfect.
It's building suspense.
Yeah,
While he's building suspense, I'll make the joke that I had. Miami paid Will Fuller for the 8 games that he was going to play this year.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, so I think you're back, Doc. Who do you want to talk about your pick there?
Yeah, so right before he was going to step in for DeAndre Swift, he got COVID, and we never got a chance to kind of see him do his thing. They brought him in here for a reason, brought him into Detroit for a reason. I think they're going to be better, and I'm going with Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams, great.
I'm real better right there. I had stats brought up. I was excited for that pick. Thanks, dude.
All right, right after the Jamal Williams goes Devonta Parker at 14.9, and Kyle, we're up to you at 14.10.
I was almost shocked with all the Will Fuller love ahead of Devontae Parker, but they went the same round, so I suppose it's fair. I guess I'm the Devontae Parker truther, but yeah.
I hate Devontae Parker.
You see, I kind of hate Will Fuller, so it all works out. Okay, so back to the value, and I mean, value can mean a lot of different things, especially specifically here. You could talk startup value, but from a startup, you could talk a trade value or production value. So much uncertainty at quarterback. The team is paying him a lot of money now. The team in cap trouble, pretty avoidable contract, but we even saw it this year. If Taysom Hill starts games, he produces fantasy points. And I think with Derek Carr and Daniel Jones, and Jones a little bit, but that's not much upside. I've got 2 guys that are maybe, especially with, actually maybe not with Carr after Josh McDaniels' recent comments. But I feel like safer guys. So the boom bust play of Taysom Hill kind of fits the team build. So
Taysom Hill. Yeah, 14.10. I like that pick. Right after that, of the new Washington Commanders. Now I got to learn how to say that. I just got used to Washington football team. Now I have to say Commanders. Curtis Samuel at 14.11. Ryan, we're up to you at 14.12 and the 15.1.
I weirdly wanted to be the first person on the show to say the Washington Commanders, but it's all right. I'm going to be a complete hypocrite for a player who I have vocally not liked for a long time, and I'm going to take him anyway just because the situation makes sense to me. It's Keyshawn Vaughn. He showed out a little bit this season when he got the 1 start, But this team's kind of in shambles. We don't know what's really going to happen with it. Fournette's a free agent. Who knows if he's going to want to take less, if he's going to take anything but a good deal to stay there, if he wants to test the market, go to another contender because Brady's gone, Rojo, whatever. But Keyshawn Vaughn could easily step into the starting role there. And I can see that happening. And if you're starting, you still have some value in with my running backs being kind of shambles. I'd rather take a guy who's getting who could have the opportunity and showed a little bit of the passing game as well. And then we followed up with Marquez Callaway. He's the de facto number one in New Orleans because God knows what's going on with Michael Thomas. He flashed all seasons. Other than the first and last game of the season, he didn't have less than 4 targets in any game. And they're probably going to be having to throw the ball a little bit because they're playing from behind. They're not in great shape. So he could see a little bit of volume uptick this year.
I like it. Marquez Callaway at 1501. McCole Hardman goes at 1502. Kyle, before you make your pick here, I got one last live read here. So do y'all guys think you can draft better than us? Prove it. Going4two.com and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to bring some great best ball leagues that include a lot of the Going for Two writers and podcasters, as well as other fantasy analysts from around the industry. Download the Underdog Fantasy app and use our promo code GF2, and they will match your deposit up to $100. Then join one of our best ball leagues and show us how good you are. Be sure to use promo code GF2 and get your deposit match up to $100. Kyle, you're up at 1503.
Okay, so yeah, clearly not a team I drafted because if it's the 15th round and I have twice as many tight ends as running backs, that's definitely not the way I like to draft, as everyone knows. So I feel like now is probably the time to go for the RB2. And I think the key here is not to look so much at production and to go with the youth, the value. So looking specifically at a couple of running backs coming off their rookie contracts or their rookie years going into their second years, still on those rookie contracts, still going to be valuable pieces. And one guy in particular, I think is pretty good shot to be the main backup. Now I'm a huge Antonio Gibson fan. I think he'll do well, but as a pivot off that, we saw dealing with a bit of injuries this year. I think he only ended up missing one game, but maybe that luck turns the other direction and Jarrett Patterson gets more of a run. So gonna take him here. He showed well to end the season, and so anyone who had him in championship week and played him, I believe he scored a touchdown week 17, so maybe help some people out. David Montgomery being the one running back, I was looking at Khalil Herbert, kind of shocked that Patterson's going 2 rounds after Herbert. Kind of feel like they should be kind of closely valued and similar. So I think Patterson quite the value here. I figured Doc was going to take him for sure when he was talking about running back, and because I know he's also a big Gibson fan and a big Washington Commanders running back fan now. And I got to say, say what you want about the name, it's the best name they've had in 90 years. I'm still not sure it beats Boston Barons, but alliterations are awesome. So I'll end with that.
Good stuff. All right, right after Patterson goes Antonio Brown at the 1501.
Oh, and he just quit Team 4.
And he just I didn't catch your joke there for a minute. You confused me.
Well played, sir.
Unlike Brown, who just catches everything even if he's not playing. But yeah.
All right, 1505, Doc. What you got?
Well, Kyle, I have to give you credit because your intuition is spot on. There was 2 Washington now Commander running backs that were available, and I think I was going to be happy with either one when it got back to me as I continue to try to build the running back room. So regardless of whether Antonio Gibson or Jarrett Patterson get some run, I think they're going to find a way to make it work with this guy and bring him back as well. And we've seen that he can at least have some flex appeal whenever he plays and has a chance for a lot more if somebody were to get injured. And, injuries do happen in football. It is a dangerous sport. So I figure I'm going to get at least a few games during the year of some decent production. So I'm going to go with J.D. McKissick.
Nice. And injuries do happen is part 2 of his book that's coming out. All right. Right after that goes Evan Ingram in the 15th round, and we are at 1507, and you're up, Shane.
Ha. Evan Stonehands Ingram. I am a big handcuff guy when it comes to running backs, and I like taking my own handcuffs. I know that it's not a popular strategy. Some people call me stupid. That's fine. but I've got Austin
I
Eckler.
call you stupid for other reasons, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, I call you old, so we're even. I've got Austin Eckler as my RB1. He dealt with some injuries last year. I want to have, thanks, Eric, his backup. So I'm taking Justin Jackson here at the, what pick are we on? I can't even see.
1507.
1507. He filled in pretty decently when Eckler was out, and I think they can eventually get to a 1-2 punch. Probably not as good as Gordon and Eckler, but at least provide some flex value for fantasy.
I like it. After that goes Kendrick Bourne at 1508, and Jay, we're back to you at the 1509.
For my pick, going back to tight end here, hope for another maybe post-hype guy, Adam Troutman, who had hype heading into this year, but maybe, tight ends takes longer. So look for him maybe on a team that needs playmakers to maybe look better, hopefully in the future. So maybe next year or, the year after. Tight ends, got to wait a little bit. So I'll go Troutman here.
I like that pick. And just real quick, too, Sleeper has no option for tight end premium in their mock drafts. So some of these tight ends may not have been available if this was actually a mock draft with tight end premium scoring. But Troutman's a great pick there in the 15th round for sure. I think that he has the potential to sort of have that breakout year eventually if he can just get a quarterback that can give him the ball.
And now Jay is the douche canoe.
Yes, finally.
All right, Zach Moss goes at 1510. At 1511, you were up, Eric.
So kind of like with Shane a few rounds ago, I thought Kyle was describing the player that I wanted to get in terms of looking at guys coming off their rookie season that are kind of plus handcuff options. And for me, the player on the board that fits that bill perfectly is none other than Chris Evans. I saw him. Really
I almost clicked Chris Evans, Eric.
Yeah,
sorry.
I was convinced that he wasn't going to fall to me. Coming in as more of a receiving back type of profile. Obviously Joe Mixon has had his difficulties staying injured or staying healthy, I should say, over his few seasons in the NFL. So like a bit of a speculative piece here, and getting a lot younger with Chris Evans coming off of his rookie season.
Chris Evans, Captain America, 15th round. I like it. 1512 goes Robbie Anderson, the 16th round, kicking off here with Mike Davis at the 1601, and right back to you, Eric, at the 1602.
Yeah, so I sort of have to go with my homer pick here, right? There's not a whole lot of options for Texans players on the board, but being that we are in a tight end premium, we saw this player come alive in the last few weeks of the season, and that's Brevan Jordan. Just looking at his volume, his role in the offense, seems like he's going to be at least involved. I don't think this Texans offense is going to be anything extraordinary for the next couple of seasons, but he's got a role to play, and getting him all the way down here in the 16th round is great value in my mind.
There's so
shout
few.
out.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Jeff. Go ahead.
Kyle.
Well, my joke is there's so few good Texans players that as soon as he said homer pick, I'm like, oh, Jordan's gone. I was hoping you fall. Who else?
Yeah, I was gonna give a shout out to Aaron, who guested on the DFS show during the season, and he had Brevan Jordan as his sick call of the week that we always do. It's sort of a dart throw player. I think that's the week he caught 2 touchdowns, maybe. So I think he basically nailed it on the head with Brevan Jordan. So good call there. Raheem Mostert goes at the 1603. We're up at the 1604. Jay, what you got?
This pick, I already mentioned this running back before. I'm going to take him here, Dante Foreman. He played really well down the stretch. This was a guy who had tons of hype back years ago, it seems like now, a long time ago. And comes in for Derrick Henry this year and averages almost the same amount of yards per carry in spots. He played really well when they gave him the ball there. Another guy maybe lands in a spot where he gets to play next year. So I'm going to take him here. 16th round. Take some flyer running backs like him and maybe hit the next year.
Yeah, former Texans player Dante Foreman, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Jalen Reagor goes at 1605. Shane, we're back to you at the 1606.
Jay, I know I insulted you last pick, but that's 2 great picks in a row. I'm going to dip into the tight end well here a little bit and probably go with someone who's a little post hype with Seattle Seahawks tight end Gerald Everett. My only tight end is Dawson Knox. I need a little more backup there, so I'm gonna go Everett with the hopes that their passing offense can evolve a little bit.
Thought you were going to go with one of your favorite team guys there, Cleveland guy. But
Njoku's a free. I considered Njoku, but he's a free agent. Don't know where he's going to end up.
Right, that's true.
And Austin Hooper he's the most overpaid.
Well, not him. I was thinking Njoku.
Isn't there a better option than both?
Actually, that's another one too.
There is another one. I considered him, but I felt like it was a little early to take him too. Also, total side note, total random Auburn fandom coming out here. Screw Austin Davis. Hope you go back to the Seahawks or wherever the hell you go, but whatever. Bye. You suck.
All right. Yeah, I like Everett a lot. I mean, he had some games where he had, 12 targets. There were some games there where he was getting targeted like crazy. So I do think that Everett in the 16th round in the tight end premium league is a steal for sure. Sleeper takes Alan Lazard at 1607. So Doc, you've gone running back with your last two picks, Jamal Williams and JD McKissick. You're at 1608. Where are you going here?
Well, we're going to keep it in the nation's capital. But one thing that I know Kyle knows this, and I want to call this out for everybody. When you get to this point in the draft, I'm all in. I get, going for young players and things like that, but I am not an ageist. So at this point, I'm looking for value. I'm looking for production. I honestly don't care how old you are. One of the things, some people like to trade. Some people like to unearth the next diamond in the rough. I like to churn and burn on the waiver wire. I get $100 of fab every year, and that is like my trades. I'm moving and shaking, and I'm moving guys on the roster and off the roster. But there's a guy here, he was injured, and the last time he was healthy, he was the tight end 3 in PPR scoring, and that's the guy that I'm going with, and I'm going to hope he comes back from his injury, and I'm going to hope he gives me production in a tight end premium league, and that is Logan Thomas.
Wow. I didn't think he was still on the board. That's a great pick. That is a great pick, 1608. Right after that goes Marvin Jones Jr. at 1609. Kyle Ward to you at 1610.
So it's funny because, 2 picks after I take Patterson, Doc takes McKissick, right? Thinking, okay, we don't know who's the second best running back to have there. It's probably one of them. And while I was a little upset that Chris Evans was off the board, the reason I went Patterson over Evans is because there's another Bengals running back that I'd rather have. And so it was kind of, okay, if I don't get Evans, I'm okay to get this guy. And it's kind of almost similar to McKissick. And as much as Joe Mixon, good pass catcher, they showed that they were using Samaje Perine a lot as a pass catching back. So again, RB3 at this point, might as well. He has some good upside and passing game usage. And I believe you got some goal line carries this year, all the valuable touches that you'd want. So Samaje Perine, my pick here.
Yeah, that's a great call there. I think he had that long touchdown in that game against the Chiefs. You hear Ryan cussing in the background because I'm guessing Sleeper must have just sniped him. Tim Patrick goes at
I was excited about Tim Patrick. Okay. So these sleeper rankings, I'm just going to say it, take advantage because there might be, 20 running backs listed on here still before this guy. That's Jarrett McKinnon. He's been balling out for Kansas City. He's finally found a home where a team knows how to use him in his very specific skill set and maximize it. And I don't think that's something that's going away the way they used him this year because CEH struggled a little bit, and he still brings a little bit what these other running backs don't have. So he has a role in that offense, and I like that for the future, especially with such a talented offense. My heart was set on Tim Patrick, so that really screwed me up there. But I'm going to kind of swing on the fence here and go Tyler Johnson. We know Mike Evans is going to be back in Tampa, but Chris Godwin's a free agent. Antonio Brown's gone. We don't know who's stepping into that second wide receiver role. At times he's been on the field and had to get volume. He's really flashed, and he's had a profile, the side-speed combination where he should be able to play well. So I like him there.
Yeah, that's a good call. And McKinnon falling this far is pretty surprising because you're right. I mean, he's balled out so far. In the playoffs, he was pretty much integral to how far they got. And CEH fans and owners are all hating him right now because he was getting more work than CEH was in the playoffs.
CEH isn't that great.
Yeah, Shane's up there flicking us off because obviously he's a CH owner. Like me, I am one as well. I have him in my main home league, so disappointed in his performance. Jared Goff goes
not even his performance; it's his usage. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
when he's used, he's good.
And he's average.
Is he though?
Is
he's
he?
Not average.
Is he? He's fine.
He's decent. He did not look as explosive as McKinnon did in those games. When you saw the two differences of how McKinnon looked when he was in there compared to CEH, it was a difference of night and day, honestly. All right, Jared Goff goes at 1702. Kyle, we're back to you. You've gone back-to-back running backs with Patterson and P. Ryan. Where are you going here with 1703?
Let's make it 3 straight running backs. Who knows who the running back in Arizona is? I think right now they're of running backs they have signed at the top of the depth chart is Eno Benjamin. I doubt that they go into the season with him as the number 1, but maybe they only bring in, maybe they only re-sign one of Connor Edmonds or only bring in one other guy and he's the main backup. So, Benjamin might get the opportunity.
Yeah, Eno Benjamin had one good run this year that just kind of blew me away where he just trucked someone. I don't remember who they were playing against. He came in, he just trucked someone for a touchdown. He just literally ran over the guy. And it kind of opened my eyes. Like, this guy could be good if he gets the opportunity. So great pick here in the 17th round. Matt Ryan goes 1704. Doc, we're back to you at the 1705.
All right. Sleeper did it again. No reason. Matt, I know he's old. He lost his number 1 receiver this year. Got to cut the guy a break. There's no reason in a super flex format Matt Ryan should be falling this far down. But fantasy football is a game of adjustments. Am I right? So this guy had to play behind a bunch of other talented wide receivers in Pittsburgh, and he lost his starting quarterback to retirement. I think he's going to be in a different uniform next year. He's a young guy, and I think he might get a chance to show out and significantly outproduce this draft slot. So I'm going to go with James Washington.
That's a great pick. Yeah, I love James Washington. James Washington has a special place in my heart because he won me a lot of money in a DFS preseason game. Him and the quarterback whose name I can't forget right now, third string quarterback.
Current Ottawa Red Blacks quarterback Delvin Hodges.
Yes,
Devlin Hodges, Duck Hodges.
The Duck.
Kyle listens and remembers everything.
Yeah,
Stanford University alumni.
Well, that was more an educated guess. I also just wanted to bring up the CFL, and I was like, well, Mason Rudolph isn't in the CFL, so I can't say that. So I'll shout out the Red Blacks.
My friends were at the last Steelers game with Big Ben's retirement, and Duck Hodges was at the tailgate next to them in a Duck Hodges hat. It was incredible.
That's awesome. All right, Sam Darnold goes at the 1706. Shane, we're back to you. You went Joe Everett with your last pick at 1606. You're at the 1707. What you got here?
I was thinking about doubling up on going tight end, but I went and looked at the running backs, and I think I got another player I'm going to take here. I also am really tempted to go with mine and Kyle's Packer fandom and take someone, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take Ty Johnson. Back up to Michael Carter at the Jets. He's still young. He's still pretty explosive, and I think he will be a decent backup to Carter, who should be the starter as long as he's healthy.
Nice. Great pick there. And I'm going to say something that's going to age me a little bit. I think the Doc probably be the only one that might know this, but when Shane gets his phone too close to the mic like he just did, it reminds me of Atari Missile Command. It makes that sound like it sounds just
so
like
right. That's a great call out.
I know exactly what you're talking about, actually.
Of course, you listen to your phone all the time.
Well, no, I'm the youngest person on here, but I know exactly what you're talking about with that game.
Do you know it because you played it on PlayStation Retro, or because you played it on the
played it on my
arcade?
Computer with my dad.
Nice.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel great.
PC gaming all the way.
All right. Right after that pick goes Tyler Huntley at the 1708, which is a really good pick, honestly. I think that's a great pick for sleeper there in the 17th round. I think he played well enough to get a job eventually. 1709, Jay, you're on the clock.
My pick going wide receiver here, played really well for the Raiders down the stretch. Another kind of post-type guy, Zay Jones, really talented at the beginning, coming out of college, didn't work out on the Bills, and then ends up in the Raiders. Finally started showing some things this year, so I'm going to go with him here and hope that it continues into the future.
Good stuff. I love Zay Jones. I'm surprised he's still on the board too. I wrote an article about him toward the end of the season that he actually out targeted Renfro over the last 5 games of the season. His biggest issue was he had no touchdowns, so no one really paid attention to him, but he was getting the targets for sure in that offense. So that's a great pick. Robert Tonyan goes at the 17-10, and Eric, you're up at the 17-11.
So for me, it's really starting to get thin here. This is the part of the draft where I look to be a bit more speculative. Like I mentioned at the top, a lot of my receivers are a bit longer in the tooth, so I want to get young here and try to find guys that can either develop into something meaningful or that at least have a path to playing time. And for me, the player that jumps out is Anthony Schwartz, 21 years old still. Obviously, we saw the departure of OBJ. Jarvis Landry is obviously getting older and older every single day, like the rest of us. So I think the Browns passing game is one where there's going to be room for several young guys to emerge, and Anthony Schwartz is the youngest among them. So I'll wait that one out.
Good stuff. Yeah, 17-11.
I love that pick.
Of course you do. You're a Browns fan.
And an Auburn fan.
And an Auburn fan. Oh, good
and
call.
Shameless plug, Anthony Schwartz was my sleeper buy on our Going for Two collaboration article recently. So
Nice.
Go check that out on goingfor2.com.
Good stuff. Tie it all in. I like it, Shane. You're a professional here. All right, 17-12 goes Kenyon Drake, kicking off the 18th round. We are coming against the clock here, so we'll make the 18th round our last round here so that we don't go too long. 1801 goes Sterling Shepard. Right back to you, Eric, at the 1802.
So this probably is about where he would go, maybe a round or two later. I like making Tony Jones a priority towards the end of these drafts. We've seen the 2 running back system work in New Orleans. This is potentially a team that could be looking at a rebuild as soon as this year. So there might be some possibility for additional playing time or at least load management coming his way, and to get him basically here in the freebie range. Love acquiring shares of Tony Jones as we round out the draft.
Great pick. Tyler Heineke goes next at the 1803. And Jay, what is your final pick here in the 1804?
Yeah, final pick with Superflex. There's going to be a lot of QBs moving around. It'll be between some of these guys that we've seen fail as starters before. The guys like Marcus Mariota and Mitch Trubisky, who gets a job, who gets another shot, and you could take stabs at guys like this at the way back of the draft. I don't know. If we were doing more rounds, maybe I'd draft him like a little bit later, but I'm gonna go with Mariota here. He's the one I believe in a little bit more. I don't think I could bring myself to pick Mitch, but you're rolling the dice a little bit. You hope these guys are free agents. They could end up on another team. There are a lot of QB needy teams this offseason, so it'll be interesting to see who gets a chance.
Yeah, that's a good call. He looked good in limited action this year with the Raiders, and he was basically that second quarterback that would come in and just run some crazy plays, but he did look good at least. Like he still may have the legs to go with it as well. At 1804, you can't pass that up. 1805 goes Marlon Mack, who likely will have a new home this year as well. 1806, Shane, what you got for your last pick here?
I think I'm going to pull the trigger on potentially another post-hype guy at tight end with the tight end premium. None of the guys that are left at tight end really excite me enough to take them. Like Tommy Tremble is good and young, but I don't know if I trust that offense to really pull the trigger on it. Same with Dan Arnold right now. Alberto is the tight end 2 on his team. Not really willing to touch that yet. Tyler Conklin is going to probably lose touches to Irv Smith coming back. And then Parham, like him, decent athlete, young. But I'm going to go OJ Howard here because he's a free agent, and I just trust his athleticism and size to get him an opportunity somewhere. And I think he's talented enough to be a starting tight end. And as we talked about, tight end is a wasteland. So if you get someone who's 6'6", 251 and can move at tight end, I think he's got an opportunity to really bust out once he actually gets the starting role.
Yeah, he's in that David Njoku mold where he was just a super athletic freak that just hasn't really panned out in the NFL yet. But he's still an athletic freak, so maybe it happens. He's one of those late blooming guys.
I mean, he's only 27.
Yeah,
he feels like he should be older probably, but he's only 27.
Yeah, good call. And going for twos, Jared just mentions that Gronk could retire as well, so that could also open up some doors for him.
I mean, he's definitely going. Gronk said he's never playing with another quarterback other than Brady. He's retiring. All right, Gardner Minshew goes at the 1807. Doc, you're up here for your last pick. What you got?
So here's another quick example of like trying to play the board and knowing the room. I see a lot of people taking swings at younger players, and I'm kind of between two guys here, and I'm looking best player available when we get this deep in the draft. So I'm going to take the younger guy of the guys that I'm thinking, and I would think to try to get him back, the next guy on the way back if the draft were to go longer. But this guy in Dallas, coupled with Michael Gallup's injury, I don't know if he's going to be sticking around, but wherever he goes, the last few games of the season, he showed us that he really had some potential to get some things done. Doc. And I don't know if you guys saw that. I think it was Thanksgiving.
This is a great
wide receiver end around. Did you see the tight spiral that this guy threw? So for my last pick, I'm going to go with Cedric the Entertaining Wilson.
Nice.
Excellent pick.
Yeah, that's a great pick there. Teddy Bridgewater goes 1809. Kyle, you've now gone, 3 running backs in a row. We're going to finish off here with a running back as well on the 18th.
Well, Kyle goes 3 running backs in a row. What a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, does Mitch Trubisky count as a running back? Because to Jay's point, I tempted there too, right? Like if he gets a starting job, the ability to run with his legs, a bit like Mariota, better, more fantasy production than what you're getting, like long-term stability. So it really is just going for the points, similar to what I did with Taysom Hill earlier. So in theory, that'd be a good move, but since it's the last round and I just like hyping up my guys, going with backup running back, because again, 4 running backs in a row, shocker of the century. Same thing as the last 3, right? Maybe has a chance to be the RB2 on the team. I will say Elijah Mitchell has really shown something. I think what did he play? 11 games last year.
Yep.
At over 200 carries, and I was, I know Gerson's watching. I know, Jared mentioned it against Gerson. Like I was staunchly against Trey Sermon, and the previous high for carries for any running back before this year was Matt Breida with 152, I believe. So for Sermon to get 207 in 11 games for Mitchell, imagine if it was Sermon. For Mitchell to get 207 in 11 games kind of says they trust him a lot more. So I don't know that 49ers are really going to heavily invest in the running back position. Again, Mitchell was a 6th round pick, so they didn't need to for that, but he's probably safe. And maybe, I don't really trust Trey Sermon. I think Jermichael Hasty is already showing to be ahead of him. So I'm just going to go with my guy, Jermichael Hasty here. And we'll see what running back, deep running back I want to, that's going to be a UDFA, of course, that I really want next year. I mean, it's worked out with Jermichael Hasty so far. Deion Jackson last year, not so much. We'll see who it is in 2022.
Yeah, you've been on Hasty since day one. Yeah, I think you wrote an article, a profile of him that year, and I had to go look up to see who he actually was because I didn't even know who he was at that point. So
how many 49ers
making up a guy here, right? Like this is
yeah. How many 49ers running backs have gone now? Like 5?
Probably 5. So I'm imagining Mostert's probably in there. Jeff Wilson's in there. I'm sure Mitchell.
I think those guys are still available.
Those guys are still on the board.
Wow. All right. Fair enough.
I know because they're old and they're injured. So obviously I looked at them.
All right, Ryan, finish us off here at the 18-12.
So I wasn't going to do this pick until OJ Howard was mentioned earlier, and it kind of piqued my interest. How you're talking about OJ Howard's only 27. And I looked at David Njoku, who's really struggled in Cleveland, but to his defense, everybody struggled in Cleveland, and OBJ proved that. Like, he was one of the most athletic and talented tight ends coming out of the draft, that split out thing. And I looked up his age.
Going for 2 there, Shane.
Is he close to OJ Howard? He's only 25.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, it feels really weird to say.
Yeah, he was super young when he came in. That's right. Yeah.
And 25, 26 is when tight ends normally start to break out. Like, he could land in a spot with an offense that's not a dumpster fire with his skill set and become a legit red zone threat. We've seen tight ends with really athletic profiles and receiving the ability to break out late. Shout out Darren Waller. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibilities with his skill set if he could learn how to catch a little bit better and have a QB who will target him. Like, it's there.
Trying really hard not to fight Ryan right now.
Ryan,
Well, I
I
actually-
fan talking trash about Shane's Browns, of course.
I actually have a question for Foss. The fact that you're taking a Browns player, like what's more conflicting, that at the 1812, that or the War of 1812, like that's really your own version of it.
Dude, it's fantasy football. I was out the door.
No, yeah, no
Like, it's
loyalty.
about winning.
Yep.
Like, no loyalty. I'm gonna root for the Ravens no matter what, even if there's money on the line. But like, there's no loyalty in fantasy football. You draft the best players.
Agreed.
I also want to address something in the comments. Jared was mentioning he played what game was it? Minesweeper. I also played Minesweeper. So shout out to all the Minesweeper players out there like Yeti and myself.
The thing is, everybody who's ever played Minesweeper, does anybody ever actually understand Minesweeper?
Yeah. It's a game about numbers. How do you not understand it? It's awesome. The numbers tell you how many mines are around that particular spot. So if you see a 3, it's like, oh, this is surrounded by 3 mines, and so you just kind of figure it out from there.
Ryan,
I was told there'd be no man.
That's how that works. Really? I just thought you click shit.
I mean, you do just click stuff, but you can click things for a reason.
If Foss was in the Hurt Locker, the movie would have been 3 minutes long. He's like, all right, I'll just pull this wire.
It would have been the dead lock. It would have been the dead locker. Let's be real here.
The Drew Locker?
It's
just as bad, probably worse.
All right, fellas. I had hopes we can get through all 23 rounds, but I think we did a pretty good job here of hitting some of these deep players here. We'll go around the room here and the sign off. We'll start with you, Eric. Talk about where we can follow you at, and if you got anything you wanted to plug. Eric,
I think I was frozen. You can follow me on Twitter at FantasyNab. I am unmuted over here. At FantasyNab on Twitter. We are going to be kicking up and spinning up the Dynasty Pawn Shop here season. About a show or two per month leading up all the way through the kickoff of the regular season. And I'm also still contributing plenty of work over at drroto.com. But if you're following me on Twitter, all of that will be all over my feed, and you can read my work there.
Good stuff. James, what you got?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me on. This was a lot of fun. It was great to be on here with you guys and some really sharp fantasy football minds that we have over at Going for Two. And hopefully I help my own. Just want to demonstrate the opportunity that you have in the double-digit rounds to really build up your team. It may not look sexy, but look for those injured guys that are potentially have done it before and could come back and give you production. Look for guys that could give you partial seasons of really high-level production. And don't be an ageist. Take it from an old guy. Like, we can still get it done. So the room kind of zigs. Those guys are going to be there in the later rounds, and they can be productive. So, so that's my strategy tips. Look for the article, how to get RB1 production from your RB3s, coming out later this year. And check out the book, Injuries Suck, but your fantasy team doesn't have to. Available on Amazon. I'd really appreciate it. I think you'll get a lot out of it. That's it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Good stuff. Kyle, I know if we plug everything that you do, we might be here for another hour, but what you got going on here?
On top of the Going for Two live shows, which one is happening tomorrow night, the Dynasty Gambit, less than 24 hours from now. So it'll be tomorrow night, December 3rd, Thursday, 8:30, and every second Thursday afterwards. Also, Coast the.
You said December 3rd. I think you're a little behind on the month there.
See, I'm a Packers fan. I'm trying to pretend like January and February didn't happen. They got eliminated, so that's what that's all about. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm in a festive mood for some reason. I just love being here. So happy. But that'll be February 3rd tomorrow. So check out the Dynasty Gambit, and also the Full Press Fantasy Pod had a recent really great series. 4 great guests have all come on and talked about just lessons learned from the 2021 season. It started with Eric. We did a whole talk about Pros with Joes. So shout out to the charity league that Eric helps run. Great causes there. I know Doc's been on recently too. We've had Gerson. So I know Gerson's in the chat. Shout out. That was great content from Gerson, and then my buddy Akili as well. A bunch of great Dynasty minds, just talking about everything we learned from 2021 to 2022. So that's a whole month worth of podcast episodes that are great from the Full Press Fantasy Pod. So definitely recommend people check those out, of course, and follow me on Twitter at Senra Says.
Good stuff. Jay, what you got?
Thanks for having me on, Jeff. This was a lot of fun mocking with you guys tonight. You could find me on Twitter at JC_DFF. I do some writing at Going for Two. Also do a podcast with my brothers that some of you guys have been on. That's called Brothers of Dynasty. That is on Tuesday nights, and you can find that at Bros of Dynasty on Twitter. So check me out at all those places.
Yeah, great show. I was on that show with about a week ago now, right? That's when I came.
Yep. You came on. Did a different mock 2019 class we did a remock of that, so that was fun. Yeah.
Well, I got a bone to pick with you. Barkley over Chubb in the 2018 on the recent episode.
I know. Oh, you saw? Yeah. I can't. I'm just a Barkley. I can't quit him, man.
I can't quit Chubb, so I feel you.
All right, Shane. I know you kind of filled in last minute here. You're an honorary member of Going for Two. You used to be with us. You're now moved on a little bit. What you got? You want to plug?
Yeah, I appreciate Jeff. Thanks for having me on. And Going for Two will always have a little piece of my heart because of how supportive you've been throughout my journey. First off, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at FFShaneB. I'll keep it 3 bullet points for you, Jeff. Follow me, FFShaneB. Pauly's playoff is coming out after the Super Bowl for year 3 tournament to end Alzheimer's. Follow the Fantasy Nightcap on Twitter. It's at Fantasy Nightcap. Our March is going to be awesome. We have some humongous guests coming on, so please make sure you like and subscribe on your preferred podcasting network. And then follow the collective, which is at FF_collective. That's KOLLECTIV. And subscribe on YouTube because Collective Knowledge this month, my other show that's on YouTube, is celebrating Black History Month and only having Black content creators come on this month.
Nice.
To give them a platform and help everybody in the fantasy community get to know more about them.
Good stuff. I love it.
There we go.
All right, Ryan, what you got?
You can find me here every Wednesday night. We're back, baby. Find me over at the Sports Illustrated Draft Bible. We have the Dynasty Draft Room show. Comes out Wednesday mornings. We do a lot of Dynasty talk year round, and it's nice, quick content, say 30 minutes. Jeff, are we doing the rookie profiles this year?
We are at some point. Yeah, we
are.
And
I'll be running the rookie profile series with Jeff, where we're doing like 5 to 10 minute breakdowns of all of the rookies that you need to know this season. I've been going pretty heavy on film lately and hiding. I'm like 40 players in now, and I'm pretty excited about this class. So I can't wait to break that down on the show.
Good stuff. All right. As always, guys, you can follow me at Jeff Lambert77. Of course, the show every Wednesday night through the off season. I do want to plug one last thing. We do have our personal league podcast starting up again. It is actually on sale right now in honor of Going for 2 month. We're giving you $22 off the regular price, which is normally $100. So you can get for $78, which ends up being about $650 a person in a 12-man league. It's pretty cheap. We get myself and 4 of my Going for 2 writers will come on, and we will break down your league team by team. We rank them from worst to first. It's a lot of fun for us. We love doing them. So definitely check that out. If you go to Going for /league pod, there's an order form there you can send to me, and we can get it set up for you. All right. For Shane, for Ryan, for Jay, Kyle, Eric, James, I'm Jeff, and we will see y'all next Wednesday. Kyle, come and get a Go Pack Go.
Go Pack Go! Shout out to Tim.